This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the City of Warrenville City Council regular meeting for July 20th, 2020. In accordance with social distancing requirements, Governor Pritzker's Executive Orders 2020-43 and 2020-44, and Section 7(e) of the Illinois Open Meetings Act, see Public Act 101-0642, this meeting will be held virtually. May I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Ashour.
Here.
Alderman Berry.
Here.
Alderman Bevere.
Here.
Alderman Davalos.
Here.
Alderman Goodman.
Here.
Alderman Krischel.
Here.
Alderman Widener. Alderman Wilson.
Here.
I'll come back to Alderman Widener again. Treasurer Brenner.
Here.
City Attorney Brooke Newman.
Here.
The Administrator John Coakley.
Here.
Assistant City Administrator Christina White.
Here.
Ms. Chief Ray Toronto.
Here.
Finance Director Kevin Dahlstrand.
Here.
Community and Economic Development Director Ron Menzer.
Here.
Deputy Public Works Director Phil Kukler.
Kristen is here in his absence. Phil's not here. Kristen's here.
Yes, I'm Christy Youngmeyer. I'm here for Phil.
Kristen Youngmeyer.
Thank you. You just want to go back to Alderman Widener? Alderman Widener, are you here?
I'm here.
Thank you. All right, very good. Thank you. This is the time we have the Pledge of Allegiance. I would invite you to say it silently with me as I say it out loud. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This is part of our meeting that we set aside for citizens' comments. We will now hear any verbal or written comments from the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak, please announce yourself with your name and address. Please speak slowly and clearly so we can capture your information. And once we have everyone that wishes to speak, and I think we have just one tonight, we'll read the email comments that have been provided for this evening. So, Mr. Bob Siebert.
Bob Siebert, Albright Court. Why is there a huge increase in water on the south side of the Prairie Path? The answer is very simple. The developer of the apartment complex designed a stormwater drainage system that moves the water from the development to the south side of the Prairie Path. You looked at the picture I have here from 1977, that does not show the water going that way. It goes east. The interesting point is there is an 8-foot by 3-foot opening under Route 59 that receives stormwater from the west side of 59 all the way over to the railroad tracks and even on the other side of the railroad tracks. I used a 3-foot height. There is probably 3.5 feet or so. There's about 6 to 8 inches of mud in this culvert currently. There are also shown in this picture, prior to the changes, 2 28-inch pipes going under the Prairie Path. These have been the pipes that have been there for more than 70 years. The interesting fact is these two 28-inch pipes have less than 1/3 of the capacity of the 8-foot by 3-foot inflow from the west side. So what occurred, as is shown on the picture that I have here, the dark, extremely dark areas of the soil going east, that is the water that is held in the soil. As there was more rain, the water could not get into the two pipes, but it would sheet eastward, further east, going to the edge where that property ends, where there was a swamp area. Now, when they regraded, they installed a swale that starts from the new road where we have the signal light. It takes that swale back down to the two pipes. Back in the 1970s, that water from 59 would sheet eastward. It would not go under the prairie path. Now it goes under the prairie path. By building the pathway up to the prairie path, any of this water that had sheeted eastward and gave relief to the two pipes was cut off, and all that water now would go down to those two 28-inch pipes. So what we've done now is, by cutting off the source of the water to go east, we added more water that would be going under the prairie path than what was previous. They then added a 12-inch pipe at the south edge of the berm where the pond is. This 12-inch pipe, if you measure from the bottom of the pipe to the top of the berm, you have about 5 feet. There's a 5-foot from the bottom of the pipe to the top of the berm. Saturday night at 6 o'clock, I went out there, and that was a day that was somewhat hot, no rain. We had 90 degrees throughout last week, and there should have been a high evaporation rate. The water level should have been down. In this 12-inch pipe, there was 3 inches of water traveling to go under the prairie path. The water was there. That means with the 5-foot level, you would basically have 5 acre-feet of water capacity in that first pond. So that 5 acre-feet would be like putting a foot of water over 5 acres. That particular area is only draining the rooftops, the hardscapes of that particular development. Water's coming from nowhere else. Then it's going into the 12-inch pipe. Then it's going to the other side of the prairie path. On the south berm of that, it's a very interesting situation. The south berm of that first pond, if you walk about 160 feet from the pathway that they built towards the east, you would see as you're walking, the ground is going up on the outside of the berm. And if you looked at it, there's a short distance where they have a lower berm on that side than where the buildings are. So this is to ensure if there is a large rainfall, the water would go over the south berm, not the north, the east, or the west, over the south berm. The ground grading from 180 feet back towards the rising pathway to the prairie path is graded such that the water would all come towards that path they installed two 30-inch pipes to take that overflow water down in and throw it once again into the existing two 28-inch pipes. So we have a situation here that if it's overflowing, we certainly have a huge amount of water coming from the west. We have a huge amount of water coming from Route 59. We have the 12-inch pipe putting the water in there, and we have two 30-inch pipes trying to put more water into this small area. So if this event would occur, the water would go over the prairie path. We would have a flood over the prairie path. And I'm questioning as to the engineering, why they put two 30-inch pipes here, because if they calculated the amount of storage in the retention pond, they should have calculated such that they wouldn't have this type of disaster, and they possibly could need two 12-inch pipes. Here they have two 30-inch pipes. So what has occurred is, as we're looking at the picture, the water, in the original picture we saw, there's a beautiful 30-foot grass swale area just on the other side by Wilder's old farm. This water used to go to that pathway, then head down towards the creek, which would then take it out to the river. This is where it's supposed to go. However, this doesn't occur now because it hasn't been maintained. And what occurs now is it goes under the prairie path, and it comes down along the prairie path. It has killed all the trees and comes up through Freemantis' old property, and there's about 80 feet when it rains with the water. It's filled with at least a foot of water, killing the trees. A lot of trees in there are dying because they don't like wet trees. So this has caused this situation extreme damage to both public property and private properties. But there's also one more significant danger that has, there's one more significant danger that has occurred. If we look at all of the inflow and outflow pipes on this project, they all have protective caps. The 30-inch, the 36-inch, the 12-inch, all these pipes have protective caps. About 44 years ago in Naperville on Chicago Avenue on the east side, a young boy was pulled into an unprotected pipe and died. This is one of the reasons why there are protective pipes, covers on all the pipes. By creating this walkway, they were about 8 feet. As the little kids walk up this 8 feet from these two pipes that have no protective covers. And you know, the little children, the one thing they want to go to is see pipes and see where these things are. That's why they have protective covers. There are none. Yet you're moving in somewhere near 700 individuals in that area. They'll be walking here. Kids will be playing. The kids will be out there. I think we need to put protective covers to ensure that we don't have any tragedy in this area. And if the county, because this is county property, the county will not do it, the developer will not do it, the city of Warrenville will not do it, I will pay for it because I don't want to see any child die when it's an easy solution.
Thank you, Bob.
Anyone else wishing to speak at the meeting? Okay, thank you. We have one email comment for this evening, which I will now read, from Laura Hall at 3304 Fowler Circle in Warrenville. She says, I would like to see the city extend the current aggregation contract to have time to establish the city's priorities and perhaps to explore other options. It is important to me personally to have energy from renewables, and I believe I am speaking for many residents. Illinois has been a leader in developing wind and solar, and it could mean more jobs and businesses in our communities if we continue to ask for more renewable options. Moving to more renewable is the direction we have to be going for our health and for our economy. Energy from renewables is going to save money going forward, and with the incentives that have been provided in recent years, households are saving money right now. There is legislation proposed at the state level to continue this policy. For different reasons, not everyone in Warrenville can install solar. We need to be clear with utilities and power generators that this is what we want. I look to the city to provide more ways for me to have energy from renewables. This is something that other residents would appreciate as well. Thank you all for your dedicated service to the community, Laura Hall. Thank you, Laura. And once we conclude the citizen comments, there will be not another opportunity for public comment at this meeting. So we'll move into official and staff comments. I have a couple of things for this evening.
Mayor?
First,
Mayor, if I could interrupt, did you want to ask to see if anyone's on the line who wanted to make a comment? If anyone's
okay.
participating by video or phone?
Okay, thank you for the reminder. Is there anyone on the line, Christina?
Not that I can tell.
There doesn't appear to be anybody, but thank you for the reminder. Okay, back to Mayor's comments. COVID-19 update. Just a reminder to everyone to continue following the safety guidelines for the prevention and spread of COVID-19. Wear your mask, wash your hands, and keep those social distances in mind when you're out and about. This virus has not gone away. It's still out there. It's still dangerous. In an effort to promote diversity within the city of Warrenville, I've been working with the city staff on the creation of a community relations commission. To facilitate this commission, I will be proposing an appointment of a task force to provide guidance and input into its creation. Details about the task force will be presented at the July 27th Committee of the Whole meeting. I welcome your ideas, suggestions, questions, or concerns. Please email me at davidbrummel@warrenville.il.us if you wish to contribute or would be interested in serving on this commission. Okay, and then a reminder for those that are here at the meeting, members of the public, to exit out the side door when you leave. That's all I have for this evening. Clerk?
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Treasurer?
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman, we'll go again in that order that we usually do every evening. Alderman Ashour?
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Berry? Alderman Berry? Okay, we'll come back. Alderman Bevere? Alderman Bevere? Okay, we'll come back. Alderman Davalos?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. Alderman Goodman?
As we thanked Alderman Wilson and wished him a happy birthday last week, I want to thank Alderman Davalos and wish her a little bit early a happy birthday this coming Wednesday. Thank you for all your hard work and have a great birthday, Alderman Davalos.
Thank you.
Alderman Grishel?
So many birthdays. Happy birthday, Kathy. Nothing else to add. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Alderman Widener?
Happy birthday, Kathy. I won't sing. I'll spare you the pain. I have nothing else to add. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman. And Alderman Wilson?
Just a happy birthday to Kathy.
Very good, thank you. City Administrator. Oh, yeah, we'll go back and try Alderman Berry again.
I'm
Yeah,
back.
no,
Okay,
Happy birthday to Alderman Davalos, and I have nothing else to add. Thank you.
thank you. And Alderman Kapir.
no comment.
Okay, very good. We got everyone that time. Thank you. City Administrator?
Thank you. I want to expound a little bit briefly on the mayor's comment about COVID-19. I am on weekly Monday morning phone video calls with the county health department and many other managers and other officials across the county. This morning specifically, the county health officials reminded everyone and asked us to pass along to everyone, we posted on our website, that this COVID-19 is spreading again and the numbers are starting to increase even in DuPage County. We're not seeing the same spikes as some of the other states in the country, but they are increasing and we have to continue to be diligent and cautious. For the people in the room, I'm not on camera, but there was a press release that they posted dated today entitled Health Department reminds residents COVID-19 is still spreading. There's more information about some of the numbers. Let me touch on a couple of things real quickly. Just as you may recall, the county health department is the lead agency for DuPage County in managing and mitigating this particular crisis, the pandemic, COVID-19, and in my opinion, doing an excellent job of dealing with an extremely difficult and ongoing crisis. The county, though, has exceeded our population 10,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19 since we first started keeping track 4 or 5 months ago. And sadly, we are nearing 500 deaths of people that are in our county. This isn't all the folks, sadly, worldwide or in the country. This is just in our county and in our area. And even more sadly, closer to home, 2 of those deaths have been Warrenville residents. Not recently, but in the past several months. The good news, I suppose, is that hospitalizations and fatalities are declining, but again, the number of cases and infections are increasing. We have to remember this pandemic is not over. It continues to affect DuPage County and our very own Warrenville community. Again, while we're not experiencing the same spikes as other counties, even other states, we still have an increase in cases here, and the health department is urging us to remain vigilant and cautious. Really unique now is that the fact they're reporting, and I've heard this on the media as well, younger people are getting infected. Some are hospitalized, and again, sadly, a very few, but some have even died from the disease. It is no longer the theory that people, younger folks, under 60, under 50, under 20, are immune to this. They can get sick, and some folks, when I was young once, long ago, we all think we're immortal and immune to all these things. You're not. And you can also bring that home to other people in the community, your friends, neighbors, and others. Unfortunately, the novel coronavirus, COVID-19, is still somewhat of a mystery to the medical experts. They're working very hard at finding cures, but until we have a vaccine, we will not be truly safe. Until the vaccine is developed and widely distributed, they have to find a vaccine that works, then produce enough, and then inoculate, 300 and some million people in this country, and then not to include the entire world. So this is a major undertaking. As the mayor noted, and as the press release, the county has asked, remember the 3 W's. Wash your hands frequently, watch your distance from others, social distancing, at least 6 feet, wear a mask when around others. We all have those in this room. We're trying to pay attention to the city. We want to protect each other. In addition, the health department emphasized this morning, self-isolate if you're feeling sick, have a cough, a fever, etc. And stay home until you know that you might even need to be tested, that you aren't sick. Or if you've been exposed to someone who is exhibiting symptoms or has tested positive to COVID-19, you may be self-infected and you may need to quarantine for up to 14 days. All this information is on the county website, and of course they all link. The city has the information on our website under COVID-19 special page, and it all links back to the county, to the state, and to the CDC federal information that gives those guidelines and more details and expertise than I have. Just a parting note, we've got to recommit to continuing to work to reduce the virus and infection. I see it as a civic duty. I heard the president, or I read the president today said it's a patriotic duty. I'll go with that. To protect ourselves, our family, our coworkers, our friends, our family members, our whole community. If we can keep this infection rate down, we can protect health, save lives, thereby also maintain the economy, businesses, and jobs. That wasn't quite brief, but it's very important information. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you. City Attorney Lemon?
Thanks, Mayor. Just for the record, to clarify for anyone who may be listening after this meeting is over, I just want to clarify again that the meeting tonight is being held remotely pursuant to the new Section 7E of the Open Meetings Act, which was recently amended by Public Act 101-0640. That new Section 7E provides that public bodies can hold entirely virtual meetings without a quorum physically present in any one location under certain circumstances and pursuant to various requirements. Pursuant to this new law, Mayor Brummel, who's present in the City Council chambers tonight, has determined that in-person meetings are not practical or prudent at this time due to the COVID-19 emergency. I did want to note that members of the public have been permitted to view and listen to the meeting remotely in the City Council chambers. However, the number of people who are able to do so is very limited. That's due to executive orders issued by the governor, which limit the indoor gatherings to 50 people or 50% of the room capacity, whichever is less. And then this number is further limited by the requirement that attendees comply with social distancing requirements. So after you comply with those rules, there's very few seats available, which is why the opportunity to view and participate the meeting at City Hall is available only on a first come, first served basis. That's it.
Thank you, Brooke. We'll move on then to the approval of the agenda for this evening. If I could have a motion and a second to make that approval, please.
Alderman Widener moves to approve the agenda for the July 20th, 2020 City Council regular meeting.
Second, Alderman Wilson.
Motion and a second. Any discussion or changes? Identify yourself and speak up. Hearing none, then we have a roll call, please. Alderman Berry.
Aye.
Alderman Widener.
Aye.
Alderman Chrisell.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Ashour.
Aye.
Alderman Goodman.
Aye.
Alderman Revere.
Aye.
Alderman Davalos.
Aye.
Thank you, Emily. We have 3 sets of minutes that need approval this evening also. Alderman Widener, would you like to make the motion?
Certainly, I move to approve the minutes of the July 6th, 2020 City Council regular meeting, to approve the minutes of the July 6th, 2020 City Council closed session meeting, and to approve the minutes of the July 13th, 2020 Community Development Committee regular meeting.
Second, Alderman Wilson.
Motion and a second. Any discussion of those minutes? Please identify yourself and speak up. Again, hearing none, we have a roll call, please. Alderman Chrisell.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Revere.
Aye.
Alderman Berry.
Aye.
Alderman Goodman.
Aye.
Alderman Davalos.
Aye.
Alderman Widener.
Aye.
Alderman Ashour.
Aye.
Thank you. All of the minutes that were presented are approved. We'll now move to the reading of the consent agenda for this evening. Item 6A, accept staff recommendation, waive second reading and pass ordinance 02020-26, authorizing the disposition of personal surplus property owned by the city of Warrenville. B, accept zoning board of appeals recommendation, waive second reading and pass ordinance 02020-27,
approving a variation from the City of Warrenville zoning ordinance for a swimming pool in the actual front yard at 29 West 700 Waverly Court. C, accept Mayor Brummel's recommendation and pass resolution R2020-41, extending the duration of the March 6, 2020 declaration of emergency until the adjournment of the next regular, special, or emergency meeting of the City Council. D, accept staff recommendation and pass resolution R2020-42-42, approving an intergovernmental agreement for the participation in the DuPage County Local Government COVID-19 Reimbursement Program between the City of Warrenville and the County of DuPage. E, accept Community Development Committee recommendation and pass resolution R2020-43, approving an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Warrenville and the U.S. Department of Energy for Fermilab Village Sanitary Sewer Service. F, accept Community Development Committee recommendation and approve the July 6, 2020 Terracon Consultant Task Order and authorize staff to implement the follow-up actions as outlined in Community and Economic Development Director Mentzer's Old Town Redevelopment Site Number 2 Next Step Recommendations Memo dated July 7, 2020. E, accept Community Development Committee recommendation and authorize staff and the city attorney to develop license agreements with those property owners and businesses that desire to continue using Old Town Redevelopment Site Number 2 for private parking and access purposes. H, accept Community Development Committee recommendation and approve $10,000 in FY 2021 hotel tax funding for the Warren Tavern Improvement Projects. I, accept Community Development Committee recommendation and authorize staff to finalize the details of a new food and beverage establishment revenue sharing assistance program to be substantially consistent with the draft program framework dated July 8, 2020. J, accept Community Development Committee recommendation and pass a motion to formally rescind the preferred purchaser and developer designation the city assigned to the Two Brothers Brewing Company for Southwest District Redevelopment Site Number 1. K, receive and file minutes of the Plan Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals regular meeting held on July 9th, 2020. L, receive and file report of invoices paid up to July 15th, 2020 in the amount of $84,064.78. M, authorize expenditures for invoices due on or before August 3rd, 2020 in the amount of $131,771.15. And N, receive and file report of master debit card expenditures for the month of June 2020 in the amount of $10,177.75. May I have a motion for the approval of the consent agenda, please?
Alderman Widener moves to approve the agenda as presented by Mayor David Brummel.
Second, Alderman Wilson.
Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Ashour.
Aye.
Alderman Goodman.
Aye.
Alderman Widener.
Aye.
Alderman Bevier.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Berry.
Aye.
Alderman Davalos.
Aye.
Alderman Chrisell.
Aye.
Thank you, Emily. We have two items that are under regular agenda. Item 7A, would someone like to make that motion, please?
Alderman Widener moves to accept the staff recommendation and pass resolution R 2020-44 authorizing Mayor Brummel to execute an agreement with the winning electrical power supplier under the electrical aggregation program, subject to the review by the city attorney and city administrator.
Second by Alderman Goodman.
Motion second, Assistant City Administrator White. Do we have some? Would you like to present that, please?
Yes, thank you. At the last city council meeting, staff was asked to provide bids for a 12-month fixed rate agreement for electric aggregation. Because the energy supply rates are updated daily, I have a revised version of the bid document that was included in the packet this evening. With this document, it shows Eligo Energy as the low bidder on a 12-month arrangement at 7.515 cents per kilowatt hour. Our current rate under Dynegy with the contract we have now is 7.666 cents per kilowatt hour, so it's a slightly lower rate. And also at the last meeting, there were a couple of questions from the aldermen related to the source of the renewable energy supply and also an explanation of how renewable energy certificates work. I have with us this evening, I believe on the call, Sharon Durling from NIMEC to help answer those questions. Sharon, are you on the phone?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, good. Wasn't sure. I'm happy to respond to those questions. Dynegy Energy has retired renewable energy certificates that were generated by wind farms located primarily in Illinois and some from some other states, but it's 100% wind that seems to be more commonly sourced renewable energy credits at this time. So that's the current makeup from your Dynegy Energy.
Thank you, Sharon. So each supplier has some discretion as to the type of renewable energy supply that they use when they're purchasing those renewable energy certificates. Is that accurate?
That's correct. And sometimes it's been in the past hydro or biomass or solar. And by the way, the counties that they're generating from downstate are Ford, Sheldon, Logan, and Tazewell counties in Illinois.
Okay. Thank you. And then can you also provide an explanation of how the renewable energy certificates work?
Yes, and also happy to send a link for later for your website or notes for a 3-minute sort of video that the EPA creates because it's kind of easier to visualize. But whenever a electron is generated from a renewable source such as wind or solar, 2 things are actually created. The actual electron, which is identical to an electron created by a coal plant, because once it's an electron, you can't tell the difference. They're identical. But not only the electron, but a certificate that is audited and numbered and retired. And that certificate represents the value of, sort of intrinsic value of the green energy. So those are actually sold because it's at a premium value, and ComEd has to buy them for, minimum required Illinois, and then whatever supplier you use, Dynegy in the past, possibly Eligo going forward, would actually purchase those renewable energy credits and retire them in the name of the village. So it's a tracking system. There's some oversight by the EPA on that.
Thank you, Sharon. So this evening, the council is being asked to provide a decision on whether to move forward with a 12-month fixed rate contract with the low bidder, which is Eligo Energy. And that would, again, put the city in the same type of electric aggregation program that we're used to. We would have a 12-month fixed rate contract at that 7.515 cents per kilowatt hour for the supply of energy. We would follow the same process. There would be an agreement with the supplier. NIMEC would assist us in facilitating all of that, getting all of the notices out to the residents and businesses, small businesses that are eligible to participate in the program, giving them the option to opt out of the city's electric aggregation program and choose to go with their own supplier or the ComEd to supply if that's what they choose to do. And the program would be effective between October of this year and essentially September of next year. During that time, we would still continue to move forward with reviewing and evaluating that third option that the council has directed us to continue to evaluate. But this would allow us some additional time to go through that evaluation process and the implementation steps if the council chose to move forward with that type of a program moving forward.
Okay. Thank you, Christina. Let's go to Alderman for questions and or comments, beginning with Alderman Ashauer.
No questions or comments.
Thank you, Alderman Berry.
No comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Levere.
No questions.
Thank you. Alderman Davalos?
Yeah, so are we confirming that the one we've chosen, this Elgo or whatever energy, is 100% renewable? I can't find that information written down anywhere.
The answer is yes.
At the top of that table, in the packet document, which looks exactly like the updated version, right under the headers where it's by terms, ownership, current Illinois programs, there's another row that says fixed rate 100% renewable.
Did you get that, Alderman? Alderman Davalos?
Okay, yeah, I had one more question. What we're looking for in the other contract that you'll be studying while we take this one, will this one begin in October?
That's correct.
That is correct.
Okay, and then you'll be looking at another plan that we would do after a year?
Yes. So the other program will likely require some additional steps, and this will provide us some additional time to look at what that process is that we are required to follow based on our plan of governance and operations for the electrical aggregation program, and any changes or movement forward with that third option would begin once this contract expires.
Okay, so that third option would give us something that we don't have in this one. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Goodman?
Yes, just one small point of clarification. The motion doesn't say, and I don't think the resolution says, but we're talking about a 12-month contract, right?
Yes.
There are quotes here for 12 to 36. So. But just
there
to
is
be
an
clear,
option
the direction of the council is for 12 months?
Yes.
Yeah, so the contract would be for 12 months at the direction of the city council this evening. So that was the direction provided at the July 6th meeting. There is an option to extend past 12 months like we've done in the past to 24 and 36, but all of the discussion at the July 6th city council meeting was to focus on a 12-month fixed rate contract so we would be able to evaluate that third option for a program moving into the future.
Okay, I think 12 months is correct. I just wanted to be clear that that was the direction that the council was given. I'm in favor. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Crucial?
No question, just one quick comment. I would like to see in the communication that we're doing about this program, we're going to have a lot of new homeowners and renters in the community, and I just want to make sure that we're clear about, what this is, why it's good, why it's important. So if we can get something on social media, something like that, just to kind of explain to folks that may not be familiar with this, I think it's a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Weidner?
Thank you, Mayor. As I understood the explanation from the official from NIMEC, Energy is wholly comprised of wind energy. Is that correct?
Dynegy Energy owns a number of coal generators in downstate Illinois, but because your contract requires that they provide you with 100% renewable energy, they purchase renewable energy credits from generation facilities when they don't have sufficient of their own. That's what all the suppliers, including ComEd, do. But yes, it's 100% wind for Warrenville over the last 2 years.
And do we know anything about Elgo in the same information that you just provided, or what their sources of energy would be?
Yes, they have, but they purchase wind, and they also do some heat recovery RECs, which are very interesting, and they're very local. So it's recovering some brand new this year, heat from industrial sources that can be recovered and kind of harvested for electrons. And we can give you a full report on that.
Okay, thank you. And then the right column, as I'm looking at it, says current Illinois programs. and it says number of ACs served. Can you break that down for me? I'm not familiar with ACs, whether that's communities or...
Pardon me, yeah, that's a shorthand for number of accounts served. I could have put that in better print for you. So, example, Eligo, currently 18 different community programs, and they serve over 48,000 individual accounts.
48,000 accounts, or that's the population that they serve?
The actual account, so if there's say 2.3 per household, they're serving a population of maybe 150, but those are actual, electric accounts, so homes and small businesses.
Okay, thank you. I agree with Alderman Krushel's comments. I think it would be important to include that Warrenville's striving to, follow its environmental priority in our city strategies and trying to stay with renewable and energy efficient sources. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Wilson.
No additional comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Then may I have a motion? Would someone please identify themselves and make the motion? Oh, we already have that, I guess. I'm sorry. We're done with that. Any additional comments that anyone would like to make? Please identify yourself and proceed.
This is Alderman Davalos. We don't have numbers for ComEd, but I'm assuming these rates are lower than ComEd.
Sharon,
right?
do you have ComEd rate?
These are higher than the ComEd rate. The ComEd rate fluctuates from 6.4 to 7.4 over the next 9 months.
6.4 to 7.4?
Correct.
Okay, and we're doing 7.515.
Correct.
Okay. No, that's a little troublesome to me, but I know we can't guarantee the renewable with ComEd, so I understand maybe why that's not on here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alderman. Anyone else?
Alderman Widener, just curious if any of the providers are relying on solar at this time?
Solar energy can be purchased, but I haven't seen any recently purchased. We can check with Eligo and ask if they would add that to their menu of offerings. Perhaps it's that wind is more economical. It's just sort of been popular of late. We have a lot of new wind generation facilities in sort of this, I don't know what to call it, some wind. If you were a meteorologist, you'd have a map and know where these channels of wind go. That's been built out recently in the Midwest. But solar could be procured.
How would that affect the pricing structure?
It would not. This price is guaranteed. So we would have to ask them, if they could add solar to the, solar to the offering.
Well, I don't know how the other aldermen feel, but if it's not going to affect the rate any, it would certainly be good to add it to the menu of energy options that were renewable.
We can ask them to add some of that to their portfolio and can report back. I'm sure they would be able to secure some solar, but we didn't go in with the RFP with a specific mix. So it was sort of like supplier's choice of the mix that it would be.
Thank you. I think it would be valuable to add solar personally. I don't know what the other aldermen think, but I would be in favor of that. Thanks.
Okay, anyone else?
This is Alderman. I think that sounds reasonable, although I think 100% wind is also pretty good. So either way, but if there is a heat reclamation project that's sort of new and interesting, so I look forward to hearing from NIMAC about that. Just a little bit more detail about what's going on with that. That sounds very exciting. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. And one more time, anyone else?
Very good. Roll call then, please.
Alderman Davalos.
Aye.
Alderman Ashour.
Aye.
Alderman Gresham.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Widener.
Aye.
Alderman Berry.
Aye.
Alderman Goodman.
Aye.
Alderman Bevere.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries. We have item 7B, FY 2021 financial update and discussion. We'll begin with City Administrator John Coakley. John?
Thank you. Let me introduce this and then I'll turn it over to our finance director to go over some of the details. I'd start by thanking Kevin, our finance director. He's been doing a lot of double and triple duty lately in just keeping up on top of these projections for all of us, the city council, the community, for our staff, for myself, to see is a lot of work on top of everything else going on. So thank you, Kevin. You will note, and you'll get into details, as I said in a moment, there are more actual bills here than there were last month. We continue to get remittances, of course, from the sources of revenue that are shown here. And while some are a little bit less, I'll say less bad than we were originally projecting, some are a little bit worse, we are still projecting significant bump of revenue across the board and in the general fund. After the meeting 4 weeks ago, I came away thinking maybe I almost sounded optimistic. I don't mean to. This pandemic has still had a major economic impact. While our businesses seem to be holding their own and we're doing everything we can to help them, when they're not fully operational, or when they're closed, when people can't get out and about, revenues, like everything else, suffer. As revenues come in, we will keep updating those as more and more months, weeks go by. They will become more precise just naturally because we have more of the pandemic-related impacted revenues to date. We review these each time that they're updated. The finance director works on them with staff to get those numbers projected. I go over them with him. We have some other senior staff look at them, but as you'll notice, they're getting more precise than they were when we first started the projection. We were doing just best guesses, educated guesses at that point. We do have several months worth. Finally, I will note earlier on the agenda tonight, excuse me, you adopted a intergovernmental agreement with the county for that will allow us to access a certain amount of CARES Act funding from the federal government to the county. That money will certainly help to offset some of the extra expenses we've incurred because of the pandemic, but it will in no way replace revenue. In fact, the original legislation from the Congress prohibits us from using that to replace revenue. There is a large source of money that we can capture, provided we can show the receipts, but it will not, again, offset the revenue losses. So I want to clarify some of those things. I do get questions internally, especially about how we're doing financially. We are still working also on cost savings wherever we can find them. We are still working to tally the savings from events that were canceled, unfortunately, but there is cost savings there from the hotel taxes. There are savings from projects that have been delayed. We may be able to advance one project. We'll bring back in a future meeting because of some CARES Act funding that we may be able to use for it. But we're also working to cut and reduce personnel costs, general fund, which are substantial. Over 70% of the general fund is made up of personnel costs. So with that introduction, I will turn it over to Kevin to explain some of the numbers that we have here, and then we'll certainly be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, John. Finance Director Kevin Dahlstrom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Included in your backup tonight is our most recent projections of the estimated loss. They were updated as of revenue received on through July 10th. I will point out on there in section K, and I noted in the verbiage for this, for the state shared motor fuel tax for the month of June, it shows 0% collection factor. I'm working on a situation with the state where they, up until April, we had always received our remittances for state shared motor fuel tax electronically. Beginning in May, for some reason, the electronic remittances stopped. And then for June, we didn't receive one at all. So I'm working with them to try to determine how that happened and why it happened and get that corrected. I will point out also that as after all this backup went out, we did receive a check for state shared motor fuel tax in July. If I could factor those 2 months in there, the June we did not receive. The June would have we would have received approximately 99% of the estimate. The estimate for July, we received about 110% of that estimate. So there's a little bit of a bright side on the state shared motor fuel tax. Overall, the projection right now is that we will lose approximately $2.396 million. That's down a little bit from where we were when we presented this a month ago or so, when the projected loss was going to be about $2.433 million. The remainder of the July revenue that's not indicated in here has not been updated, as we have not received that revenue yet this month. For example, the food and beverage tax, which is collected locally, is not due until the end of July, so we can't update that at this point. We've also not received any state shared income tax as of now, and that will be updated as well. So we will continue to update these as we go. And again, we're at a loss of just short of $2.4 million as of July 10th. And again, we will continue to update that as we receive new revenue.
Thank you, Kevin. We'll go to the council and see if we have any comment and or questions, beginning again with Alderman Ashour.
No comments or questions.
Thank you. Alderman Berry.
No comments or questions.
Thank you. Alderman Bevere.
No comments at this time.
Thank you. Alderman Davalos.
Just one question. This is not to the year end of December. We're talking about the fiscal year end. This number is anticipated?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Goodman.
Yeah, just a couple of things. I've been looking at the airline economic situation in order to try and think a little bit about our hotel tax fund situation. I know that the number of passengers passing through the TSA is down 74% from normal times. I believe that was data I got. It was effective as of July 16th, so a few days ago. American, United, Southwest, and Delta have all said they're going to be furloughing or cutting, sort of between 20 and 40% of their workforce, at least through the end of the year. So I think the airlines are in a better position than I am to predict travel. I know that certainly not everybody who stays in a hotel in Warrenville comes here via airplane, but it's something to go from, 74% down. And so when I see that our collection estimates for August and September and October are 60, 65% of normal, it just seems like wild optimism to me. Obviously, I'm hoping that our hotel revenues rebound, but considering the numbers for the last couple of months, 11% and 7% of the actual numbers that we have for May and for June, people that I know are canceling travel plans. I'm canceling my own travel plans. I wonder if we should adjust those estimates downward. What are your thoughts, Finance Director Dahlstrom?
I think you probably raised very good points here. As now as we're starting to see more actuals, we'll get a better handle on what to estimate going forward. I believe that we probably will revise those outward months so that they aren't as rosy as they would appear to be. Those are our original estimates, and we can certainly take a look at revising those downward, which at this point I think would make a lot of sense. So when we do our next update, we will have looked at those, and we'll provide some revision to it or an explanation as to what that revision will mean as well.
Okay, nothing else in the projection stood out to me the way that that one did. Thank you for the updates. There are certainly some bright spots here of, sales that didn't fall as much as we thought they might. So that's helpful going forward, and we'll see how that goes. But I appreciate being kept updated and that you're keeping an eye on all of that very closely. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Chrisell.
Yeah, I agree with Alderman Goodman. Thank you for preparing this. Paints a very good picture of where we're at and kind of the projected where we're likely to go. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Widener.
I would also like to express appreciation to Director Dahlstrand for keeping us apprised of the situation as time goes on. This is a very difficult task, and he's keeping us updated on a constant basis. So thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Alderman. And Alderman Wilson. Alderman Wilson.
No other comment except thank you for what you can do with the information that you have. So as long as you can keep us updated, really appreciate it, Kevin. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alderman. Any additional comments, City Administrator?
No, thank you.
Okay, anything else, Kevin?
No, I don't have anything else to add. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right, we will move on then. Item 8 is unfinished business. We have nothing listed there. We have nothing under number 9, new business. We do, however, have the need for a closed session this evening. If I could have a motion with the statutory requirements, Alderman Berry.
I recommend we go into closed session for the purpose of 5 ILCS 120/2, parens 2, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. And 5 ILCS 120/2, parens 5, the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired.
Second, Alderman Bevere.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Alderman Berry.
Aye.
Alderman Widener.
Aye.
Alderman Chrisell.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Ashour.
Aye.
Alderman Goodman.
Aye.
Alderman Bevere.
Aye.
Alderman Davalos.
Aye.
Thank you, Emily. The motion carries. We will now be entering into executive session. We will not be conducting any business after the closed session, but anyone wishing to stay on the call may do so until the meeting has officially ended. So thank you very much for your attention this evening, and we are entering into executive session.
Hello, this is Ron.
Okay, we're back in open session from our executive session. We've concluded the executive session. Is anyone still on the call? Hearing no one, with the consensus of the City Council, I hereby declare this meeting adjourned.